Okay. So Shri Niranjan lives in Rishikesh in India. It's a beautiful place, foothills of the mountains. Um, Even though it's quite warm right now, it's right on the Ganges. This is the place where the mighty river meets the plains. So it's really the place where it becomes a river and starts flowing down. It's it's considered a place of great power, and there's lots of ashrams there. Many yogis have, it has a vortex of its own, very powerful. So that's where he's from. Sri Niranjan is a yogi. He has been from a very young age. He studied yoga in the Bihar School of Yoga for multiple years. And that's a pretty comprehensive approach. It's about therapy, it's about spiritual growth. Looks at all the aspects of yoga. He's also a student of Kashmiri Shaivite Tantra system. So today I have asked Shri Niranjan to speak about the masculine and the feminine energies, which is necessary in anything that we create, be it relationships, be it anything else, that a project or our inner journey in life. And what I'm going to do is ask him to give us a little presentation, maybe for about 30 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever. And after that, we will take a little time to be open to questions, if that is all right. And however, I will give Sri Niranjan the freedom to stop and ask questions or invite interaction if you feel like so. And if you want to speak, dear people, you will have to unmute yourself when you speak. So let's go ahead and ask.
Okay, so first of all, I am greeting all of you, not by name, but because Malavika has addressed everyone. So namaste from Rishikesh, and I will begin with the chanting mantra Om. One, yeah. So the topic is dynamics of relating. There are many ways we can approach to ourself, God, higher knowledge, or the way we want to live, actually what we really wish for from the life itself we are living. And relating is one of the aspect, like even any movement we take, any movement we take, it presupposes that we are going to relate. Like I'm sitting here, even at all I speak, I'm choosing to relate with you. Or you are at your place, any movement you will take, simple, even if you want a cup of tea, in a very simple movement, you are going to relate with your food, with your kitchen, with your utensils. So this relating is continuously going on. And even if we talk about yoga, or even we talk about tantra, yoga is also a relating of yourself with the divine itself. This relating is continuously, dynamically in progress. But what is the first ingredient we relate with? The I is always there. And first thing we relate the energy of the I itself before we move. And this fundamental principle applies in all the dimensions of life we live. We relate like there are points of satisfaction we are looking for. Basically, before any movement, we are looking for a satisfaction. If this satisfaction is not found, we experience different emotions. It could be frustration, or it could be anxiety, or it could be fear, whatever. So, whatever extra emotions we feel except this satisfaction, we look for a certain avenue, a technique, a discipline, a knowledge not to feel that and feel the deep satisfaction within. And that is the goal, that is the inner desire of every person, male or female, or doesn't matter the age and sex and male and female and races, doesn't matter. We are looking for a deep satisfaction in our every action, and every action presupposing that we are going to relate either with a thing or with the event or with the society or with the nation. And if we look, I will go on the two polarities, one in the very top of the spiritual dimension and one on a very concrete reality of the objective world we relate. So one way we relate to a thing like chair, table, cup, like very gross thing, and one way we relate to the ultimate, the God. And in two polarities, we will see that the fundamental principles are the same. And it can be applied in any area of your life, be it relating with the health, be it relating with the money, with the resources, be it with our spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, be it with our children, with our society, with our nation, or the whole globe planet. The principles doesn't change. What is the principle is the I says I, everyone says I. Before I relate, before I move, first thing I relate the energy of the I. And what we enjoy and sense fundamentally, that this energy of I. So like if I am going to join this meeting, Malvika invited, the very inception where I related to Malavika, I related to this event, I related to my knowledge. First thing, I related to my energy itself. I am. My presence, which we call consciousness, is relating with the energy of this consciousness. And then we move forward to relate with an event or a person or an action. So this we found that I am. This is the presence. And this I amness has an, we feel the energy of this I amness. And this energy gets to relate with something. And the fundamental principle behind any relating, any movement is we are looking for a feeling of a deep satisfaction within. And doesn't matter what action we will take. So action here becomes irrelevant. I am relating with my wife or with my child. Before relating, I am. Then I sense the energy of I amness, and then I go forward to relate with anyone, with my wife, children, with my work, or with my resources, or with my thoughts, ideas, health, doesn't matter whatsoever in question. What we miss here, if we don't look into this fundamental principle, we overlook the I amness, the presence, and the energy of that presence, and we only remember with what we are going to relate. It could be my wife, my girlfriend, and if we look for this deep satisfaction, we miss that. For the deep satisfaction to come place into our life, whatever we are living, the life itself, the three principles has to relate. One has to be conscious of its presence. One is consciously sensing the energy of its presence and then going to relate with it. This, when these three principles combine, a deep satisfaction arises at the center of our being. We call it heart. So that's we call heart to heart, meeting heart to heart. If we want a deep satisfaction within ourselves as heart to heart, we can also relate with mind to mind, with body to body. But the deep satisfaction, if you're looking for this meeting, everyone is has to connect with its own I amness. And you say, I am. And then with this saying, I am and feeling, you feel your presence. And then an ambience of energy comes out, and then we relate. So this way of relating, we say heart to heart. And if we don't pay attention to the presence of the I, consciousness, and the energy of this, we only become objective. In this being objective, we become dependent, and expectation arises that I am giving my time, I am giving my energy, and the expectations arises of the satisfaction. If it doesn't come, we feel frustrated about it. And others dimensions of the mind and the thinking process may evoke any kinds of emotions which is not bringing a deep satisfaction inside, into the heart of ourselves. This fundamental principles is the basic principle of Tantra. In Tantra, the same thing in a spiritual realm of enlightenment or samadhi, we give this same principle an assigned name for that. So this, the center of the consciousness, we call Shiva. An energy of this consciousness, we say Shakti. And as an individual self, I. And this is the highest knowledge of Tantra when an aspirant of Tantra or yogi aspires to know who am I. Then this who am I exploration also coming in the same way, I as an individual being relating to the fundamental principle of the universal consciousness. So individual consciousness is relating with the upholder of the universal consciousness. This we call Shiva. And this individual consciousness relating with the energy of the universal consciousness, the counterpart of the Shiva, we call Shakti. Male and female principles necessarily has to be in every aspect of being. So here we assign a male principle to the upholder of the consciousness we call Shiva, and we, to our understanding, we give it a male principle. The energy of this consciousness, we call it Shakti, universal consciousness, Parashakti, like beyond Shakti, the highest Shakti. And we can paint it, we can give it many forms. And then we call it a feminine principle of this. So we call it Shakti, the counterpart. And we go as ourself an individual consciousness, and we find that in individual consciousness itself, we have a male principle and we have a feminine principle. Male principles as an individual will be I, the center of our I consciousness becomes the male principle, and the energy of this I consciousness becomes the feminine principle. So this Shiva and Shakti is existing in every human being. It doesn't matter which body you possess, a male or female. This is irrelevant. Some people just assign the highest principle to the energy itself, and they worship aligned with only with the female principle, and they worship only Shakti. In India, it represented as Kali, Durga, many names and forms. And even some women can also relate with the energy itself, because having a woman body, for the woman, if she follows the male principle first, the path becomes difficult for her. As a woman body represents the nature itself, so she is can very easily feel the energy of consciousness. It's very easy for women to feel the energy of consciousness. Women naturally somehow have it, becoming a representation of the nature itself, and having a different body and a different capability of a womb, a physical structure, womb, and giving birth. So that's how for the woman it's very easy path to feel the energy of something. Man having not having this womb and not having this feeling how to be pregnant and keep and deliver, so man has a different approach, and they for them it's very easy to relate with the consciousness itself. So this insights, if somebody is a complete tantric or yogi into itself, how the satisfaction arises without relating to someone. Inside, one is the the triangle becomes complete inside. One is sitting at the center of the consciousness, feeling the energy of the consciousness, and then with this, he is relating to anyone outside of himself or herself, be it a different body, be it a girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, children, society, family. And in this movement, a deep satisfaction arises because everything feels in harmony. So this is the very high way to descend and understand the male and female principles and its dynamic of male and female principle. When we come down to a very ground level, to the very body itself, so like our body systems, like muscle systems, nervous system, immune system, ecological system, digestive system. So there are many faculties all together creating the body itself. So suppose we come to a very gross level and see that how this principle is relating and working in the same way. So if we try to understand in a very simple movement of the body, suppose you want to relate with your health. If you want to relate with your health and you get a desire to have a very good health, physical health, you approach to a knowledge called yoga. We call it hatha yoga. And then you apply a very simple movement. Like we say you have a issue with your body. And then we say just move your wrist left and right. Now, where is the principle of male and female and a deep satisfaction from this very simple movement of the body? How this principle coming? Here we see it as an active force. I'm applying a force and choosing a force to apply on my wrist only. So I am choosing a force to this we call active force. And then we look inside, there is a passive force. So if this active and passive force here it meets together, and we are aware of the self as an I and this energy of the I. So very simple movement of brings a deep satisfaction and opens a path of enlightenment. Almost appears to be doing nothing, and it becomes a device or a technique to enlightenment and relate with our inside. If we see this dynamics of relating, apply this into a male and female, as in your spouse, into this way, where we miss the satisfaction here. If you look, bring the same knowledge into a very like suppose just take a wife and husband or a spouse relationship. Whenever two units come together, like a husband and a wife coming together, they both together has to form a unit itself, like two, but two coming together should create a circuit to become one. And these are the principle. Any two objects in your room existing, they form a whole unit, like your room. Your room has many objects, but as a room itself, to be the ambience of the room, all the objects you are placing in the room should be in a harmony. If something is not in harmony, it will disturb you. So whenever two persons, a male body and a female body, is coming together as a relating, they both together has to form a oneness. If this oneness is not formed, there will be a chaos, a dissatisfaction, a fight, or there will be a tussle. But this tussle has only one direction, leading you natural wisdom, that you both together must find a harmony of oneness. Otherwise, the purpose of being together will be lost. So if the two opposites coming together and suddenly they find their life is purposeless, meaningless, and the emotions which are arising is not giving me satisfaction, because they both together is not forming a gestalt of oneness.
Okay. Can I interject and ask a question right here? Thank you.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I think one understands, the center where you started from and bringing it down to the earth level where we are talking about relating people. You did say at some point of time that any relating is we are looking for satisfaction.
Yes.
And unless we integrate with the Shiva and the Shakti within,
Yeah.
what you said was that we will create expectations and we will have some of the other things that you talked about. Would you talk about that in the context of the three-dimensional reality where we are constantly relating to people and objects around us, and there is this need for internal integration and for to come into a place of harmony within? So how does one move from that place of expectations, not being satisfied, getting disappointed, looking outside and not feeling gratified? So from that space, how do we move to this space of integrating and harmonizing it within ourselves, so that that heart to heart connection that you're talking about can come to be? So if you could just
Yes.
elaborate a little bit on that.
Thank you very much. I will come from a little bit a point of view, the different. We call it the center of operation, or operating center. A movement can be operated, like suppose I am in anxiety and I can initiate a movement. So if I initiating the movement, then I will say I am operating from the center of anxiety. I am afraid. And if I act, then I will say I am acting out of fear. So here, the center is of movement, we will call it the fear. And the law is that whatever the center of operation, the action will feed it back to the same center. So if we act out of fear, we can never get a fearlessness. How much action we do, it doesn't matter. So here, the awareness is before, if I am acting out of my love. So if the center of operation is out of love, then whatever I will do, energy will come back to the center. This is the law. It comes back to the center. So if I will give you my love, then this love will return back to my center of operation from where I have acted. And it will nourish back to the same center within. So before we act, an awareness is needed. So if I am feeling frustrated and I act out of this frustration to my wife and expect that the response will give a love and compassion, then this is my expectation. But this expectation is not confirming the law. So here, if we relate outside of us to any opposite, we first should see what is my operating center, and that is the meditation. That's what the meditation is, the awareness of the self before we act. Because once out of fear, suppose you are in an office, your boss is very bossy and you are afraid. Out of this fear, you work 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So more you work, more you are feeding the center of fear inside you. Acting, if you are afraid that my husband will leave me and desert me, or he will divorce me, out of this fear, you start to make the life beautiful. So you start to cook more, you work more, you start to take care of him more. But more you work in a deep center, you are feeding your center of fear more, and this center of fear will grow more and more, and satisfaction will not arise. On the other hand, the person unconsciously sensing that other person is acting out of fear. She is cooking out of fear. She is cleaning house out of fear. So the whole work will not also go to at his center. So he will not feel being loved. This is the whole game. And the person, oh, I am doing a lot of things for my husband, or husband saying, oh, I am doing so many things for my wife, but she is not satisfied with it. The wife says, oh, my husband is not satisfied. So both starts to go and act more and more, giving more and time and energy, but they are not aware of the center of operation. And that's how we say that yoga and meditation is needed for everyone. It's not a particular technique. It's just the awareness and understanding about the phenomena itself. It's not a particular posture. Sitting 1 hour is a meditation, or doing some Surya Namaskara is a yoga. It appears to be, but the basic is just the awareness, the center of operation. So if we don't look here, so we keep on feeding it back through our actions. And more we act, more we do.
So let me ask a question again. And at some point, you may invite questions from the others too. And what I'm understanding from what you're describing here is that when we are only taking a decision to act from the mind, because the mind tells us we should do I should do something, or I need to do something, or something will get me good results. What I'm hearing you say is that before we actually move into that action, to take the time to really understand where is that energy coming from. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And if you like, I can also go in opposite dynamics of this counterpart opposite. There is a law, very fundamental law. If we miss that, there's like a law of tantra of how opposites should meet, like male and female. If you like, I can also like to give one more fundamental principle about it.
Please, yes.
Yeah. So this is a very simple knowledge of opposite. Like if you see the electricity, no, like I am talking on the energy base, we call it Shakti Prakriya. So if you see the electricity is one is positive and one is negative. If you bring both the wires directly together, you may do a short circuit, like you can blast.
Yes.
What is, yeah, and how there's so much comfort and beauty arising out of this such a power of electricity that we never put two wires together. There is a third wire which is grounding, we call it earthing, and we always put an appliance and there is a switch between that. So suppose AC is running or the fan is running or the electricity is there. There is a switch, a circuit. So we switch it on the moment it connects, and then fan starts to work, AC starts to work, electricity, light starts to work, everything is functioning. Same happens the energy between two opposites meeting, a male and a female. So very in the beginning, if a girlfriend, boyfriend coming together, they are not coming together. They are just coming, touching and going away. So that's a spark. We call it a spark. There is a spark between me and you. No? When we see each other, there is a spark. We feel a spark arising. But this is a real fundamental mistake of understanding. This spark only says, yes, there is an energy in two polarity, but please do not bring this together. If you bring this, and there is a joy of a spark, but if you bring this spark directly together, it will blast the circuit. And then usually happens in a relationship like a man approaching to woman, woman approaching to man. In the beginning, it's very sparky. And then they try to come together. And the moment they come really together, they blast each other. And both thinks that I am destroyed because of her. She thinks I am destroyed because of him. But actually, nobody is destroying each other. They just did not understand the law. They thought this spark is love. No, this spark was only energy, showing that you have a lot of energy and there is a potential of, you must put a circuit and create a purpose of meeting together. If you don't create this purpose of meeting together, you will just blast each other and both will blame each other that you destroyed me, you manipulated me. So a lot of blaming will come because both doesn't understand that they did not obey the law of creation. So if two opposites meeting, they cannot meet directly, and please don't try. It will be highly destructive. In the beginning is sparking and then highly destructive. So you full a purpose, a simple purpose, natural purpose is man, woman coming together, they are giving birth to a child. And it is the highest creation possible on physical level that you produce. And there becomes a purpose that I have a child, nourish the child, and they both can come together on this point. But if you are coming together and not producing the child and still want to be together, then you have to bring a creative things into the world which demands same energy of both of you to grow this child. In tantra and yoga, highest aspect is that purpose of coming two opposites together in yogic or tantric way is to give birth to yourself. So you both choose to be transformed being and reborn again. That's a highest purpose in a spiritual sense. And in a very common purpose, in a materialistic, that purpose of two opposites coming together for copulation is to produce a child. Even if you don't, you can come in the middle. So you both coming together to bring a fan or AC, which is useful not only for you, but for the whole humanity. That forms a purpose. And then you both together, not coming together, something coming in the middle with a purpose, that's we call the psychic circuit. And this circuit will not allow you both to spark and destroy each other, because the energy bringing forward and the purpose should be very concrete, that can be felt, that can be seen, that can be touched, that can be entertained, where the resources can be poured, and it can be shown growing every day. It can be measured. So this tantric purpose is very concrete. It's not just an ideology, an abstract idea.
So this can be a project, this can be an organization,
Anything.
this can be anything out there which human beings do, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, any idea. Yeah, any idea. But idea should be manifesting very concretely, that can be seen, felt,
Yeah,
measured.
so a little bit, if you can talk about, we are moving from the individual to the group. Now we have group energy, which also
Yes.
has within it the feminine and the masculine qualities. So let's say in an organization, how will the same dynamic work within a group of people who are trying to, say, make a project or do something as an organization? How would
So
that
they,
play out?
the group of people, suppose I am talking with the laptop. Yes.
Yeah,
If we, laptop itself is a group.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, like laptop is a group in a sense. Then there is a processor. There is so many components coming together. All these components coming together and functioning in harmonious way, and there is no role conflict. Every unit is assigned a proper role. Then it's giving a complete a gestalt of oneness. So a group of 20 people there, and each has a certain role to play, and they are not interfering into another role. So processor is doing its processing work, keyboard is doing its keyboard work, battery is doing its battery work, monitor is doing its monitor work. So in a group, the problem arises when one component is starts playing the role of another component or tries to play, it cannot play. So assignment of a proper role of each person, and one purpose for the whole group, oneness of a purpose.
So how do we bring the um, heart-centered engagement here in such a place? Because this is not mechanical, like the computer is mechanical. So you assign the roles and it stays like that. With human beings, we are all dynamic. So how would you see that in a group of 20 people, that the energies are playing out in such a way that there is harmony and there is a good give and take between the feminine elements, the Shakti elements, as well as the masculine elements? How would you see that play out?
So here you have to take an example of a live being, like the body, no? You or person.
Yeah.
So if you see the analogy in an organic, so if we see the body is functioning in an organic unit. And you cannot say that hand is higher and the leg is lower, or that is not important and this is not, or left eye is more important or eye is more important and ears are not. So the organization, if it wants to have this ideal, then it has to function in an organic unity. And same also in the body, in function. But each organ, that's the concept of Tantra, that each organ is a complete universe into itself. That's where the concept comes, and that's where we meditate. So I can meditate on my thumb. Thumb is a unit into itself. I can meditate on my palm, but palm is a component of many fingers. But still, there is a center of the palm, and this is the heart of the palm. And if I focus at the heart of the palm, I can harness the energy from the heart of the universe. And the center of my palm can relate me the center of the universal consciousness itself, and it's related. So in organization, each unit is a heart. Not that a leader will be the heart. Each person as a functioning as a center and also functioning as a part of a big center, big unity. So that's where the Ishavasya Upanishad comes and begins with the mantra Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. It looks very strange to meaning what they are talking about, but actually they are talking about that each component, each organ itself is a universe and is the center of the universe. The center of that organ is the center of everything, center of the God itself. So even if we go inside the deep, we find cell. In the cell itself, we will find the heart of the cell.
Right. So this is, we are going into the concept of fractals, right? Or holograms, every part holds the whole.
Whole, yeah, that's the organic unity of an organization of 20 people. And each one has to understand that nobody is inferior or superior here, because each one is having the same heart and same energy. So all the members will function with the same universal consciousness infused into them.
So let us open and ask if somebody has a question for you at this juncture. I'm sure they have. So please unmute yourself and feel free to ask.
Me unmute?
No, you are fine. I'm just talking to our audience here.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yes, please.
Hi, really great. Thank you so much. You mentioned earlier that, you know, in the female form, you could have a masculine energy and that causes trouble for the female. Is that just imbalance of the energy, Shakti and who was the other one? Shiva? Or is it that, what, can you speak a little more about that? Because I'm just...
So look, having a body of female doesn't matter and having a body of male here doesn't matter. No.
Okay.
Yes, having a body, it's a more, you will be more prone because of having an extra organ of this womb and capacity to give birth to a child. Naturally, your mind is such a circuit, is such a way, the whole psychology, that you can very easily relate and experience the energy. So
Okay.
that we call a feminine principle, a Shakti part. No? So in Tantra, it says that an enlightenment for a woman on this way of relating on Shakti Prakriya is very easy for women. So Tantra says that it's for women to be enlightened is very easy. But yoga says to be enlightened on path of yoga is almost impossible for women. They cannot even attain it. Oh, because yogic methods are different. They are more on the male principle. Person is sitting, not moving, and only being centered to this upholder of this consciousness and meditating upon that. No, that's a approach of meditation to experience God through the male principle. But if you choose the Shakti Prakriya, the feminine principle, then for women it's very easy, this path of understanding the relating and feeling the energy. And after feeling the energy, you can move to the center of this energy. And you will find a male principles also inside you. So it's suppose the music, no? The melody is a feminine principle. The rhythm is a male principle. So if I don't sing on a rhythm, there will be no music. To hold the melody, there has to be a rhythm. No? And just a rhythm is very boring. Shiva. So we say Shiva without Shakti is just a corpse, nothing else. So Shiva is just a rhythm, but just a rhythm is not enjoying. And a melody without a rhythm is a chaos. So if energy, just flowing of energy and enjoying the flow of energy without an upholder of the rhythm will create a chaos.
So
It doesn't matter.
if I can just add to what Michelle said, I think what she's saying is that in the world, I think what is happening more and more, even women, we have become so much like men, like we act, we follow, especially when we are, professionals in the world, and we embody the masculine energy to a large extent. So much so that it may feel sometimes like out of balance, that am I losing my femininity in order to do that? So in such a situation, how does one get back into that balance of, being able to hold all of it in a harmonized way?
Yeah, here you must see your center of operation. If you are acting out of competitiveness, so or if you are acting out of understanding that I am inferior, so being acting out of inferiority and becoming competitive to prove, you will have to act, and more you act, more you feel I am incompetitive, more you feel I am inferior. So you keep on acting and get lost into that groove. Here a woman has to think that both principles are existing in me. But what is predominantly obvious is my melody. And melody is not inferior than the rhythm. So a woman has to primarily be in melody and be aware that her melodies are in a rhythm. That she becomes the most powerful here. Neither man is powerful itself, nor the woman is powerful itself. If man does not brings melody around his rhythm, he is just dry bones in action.
Yeah.
Very dry, like a military, no, like a robot. It's robotic. So man will become robotic. But woman, if competes, she will also become robotic. But she has to primarily have to have melody and be aware that it should be in a rhythm. Man has to be that being in a rhythm is easy, but bring melody around it.
So, what qualities would that be for a man in order to bring what you're saying is the, and you're calling it energy and you're calling it melody. So, what would be some of the ways that can be incorporated? Because, you know, I'm thinking of masculine energy as something which is very, very clear, very structured, very, you know, got to do this in this particular way. And I'm thinking of that as the what you're calling the rhythm. In
Yeah.
order for that to come into that kind of connection, that and having the harmony of both the Shiva and the Shakti energies, what are the qualities that we need to bring in that we call the energy or the melody?
See here, if we like, we call it creativity. Creativity is you need to be always open to meet a chaos. Otherwise, it's just a computer, no?
Yeah.
Just a that's, so that's where the man misses. Like if you want a structure, so it's like a German. We call it. Give an example that we call German like very structured. So like if we and you have a date, then as a man you will structure your routine. We will go to this restaurant, we will go to that restaurant, we will sit there, we will order this. You can pre-decide everything in a structure. That, and if you completely follow that and come back home, I guess there will be no joy into that. But if you open for a chaos and unexpected movements to arise, and then you are ready to face it, and being also in a rhythm, but allowing a chaos and meeting it with intelligence or consciousness to bring a creativity. So never we close the mind in a structure. We always, even you imagine about the future, never imagine a future in a structured way. Let it be open. Give a direction, this direction I want to go, and you are open to meet any unexpected happenings. Then you are opening to melody and meeting it.
Okay.
So not pre-deciding everything before and following. If you have pre-decided, you get into the restaurant and something happened, you did not get the drink what you were imagining before or anything, it will destroy all your project of datings if that is the mindset. But if you are open, something unexpected happening and you are meeting this unexpected with your all your intelligence, then your consciousness and intelligence is needed. Otherwise just a command. So what will be the difference between a robot and a human being? We enjoy as a human being not a robotic action. We enjoy our consciousness which is capable of meeting any chaos and turn it into the harmony. That's the intelligence. That's what we really enjoy it. When we say we touched my heart, because I met an unexpected movement, a chaos, and I turned it into a harmony. So we say, oh, I have intelligence, I have consciousness. Otherwise, my computer will hang. Anything wrong command, a little bit, computer hanged, finished. What is the difference between me and my computer? So either we make our life a robotic or we open to live. But there is a rhythm, but not only a rhythm, but a consciousness and intelligence to bring harmony and melody of any chaos.
Does that answer your question, Michelle?
Sure does. Thank you so much.
Does anybody else want to go? Prerna, you had something you said there.
I'm just absorbing. It's amazing to hear it in this kind of context, because everything that you said, Mala, about the organization structures, or in Niranjanji, you were talking about the energies and people coming together with a purpose, it falls into perspective that we often in organizations often talk about, that we have to have a common purpose and the team has to have a goal and everybody's important in a team work, but it is not done with a very clear purpose. This is where it becomes very structured. You just follow the structure without connecting the so-called masculine and feminine energy the way we are talking. So I'm just absorbing it to see how you can be open to chaos and let the melody or the rhythm flow in and take its course while you go with it and see where it takes you in a form, towards a common purpose.
I think our current situation is a great opportunity. We are having to do that right now, isn't it? The last several weeks.
True, this is a chaos of not our making directly, but yeah, we all have to be open to it for sure.
And see what kind of creativity is coming out of it. I think that's a testimony to this concept. All right, anyone else? Is there something else you would like to add, Niranjan, before we conclude here? Some closing thoughts to bring it all together, because this is a very big subject. Obviously, it's not something that we can tackle in
I
a...
was asking you, that gave me a pointed, because in a generalized, it's a vast subject. But
Yeah.
still, I pointed it on 2 points to talk about it and giving a concrete example.
Right.
So if you more specify me the subject, I'm focused on that and bring all the content. So dynamics of relating was generalized, but I made it a particular way, just a gist to understand it. I like make it meaningful in a living context, in a concrete.
So what I'm understanding from your presentation is that the masculine and the feminine energy is resident in all of us, and that
not
if
only, yeah, not only in all of us, in our all the action. Even if you go to make a chai, you will cannot enjoy making your tea, and if this both energy is not coming together.
so explain that. How does it come together in the making of the tea?
Yeah, that's where we have to understand that it's in every movement. In every movement will ask this to like joy. Like suppose we are talking, yeah, me and you. This phenomena is happening right now. So how I can be dissatisfied and how you can be dissatisfied, and what the purpose will be defeated of our meeting, in which I need to be fully passive to listen to you, and active also together. If I just make a concept in my mind that 10 points I will talk about it, and I talk and finish, there will be no joy in me, neither it will be in you. We are just open to each other. You, when it coming to be passive, you are fully passive. When you are coming to be active, you are fully coming actively there. When for me time to be absorbed and be fully passive, I am there and listening you, and then coming out. So this interactions, our energy is not clashing. Neither
Right.
I am in a way to impose any my ideas or anything. No, so it's not giving you also. So we both are openly just interacting. When time comes to be active and passive, no one has a problem to change the role.
Hmm. I see.
And you can see also in the dynamics of opposite. A husband becomes I am a man, and women say no, I am a female, and they are not ready to change the role.
Hmm. So then there is no growth.
No growth, because then will be stereotyped relationship, roles defined, work defined, everything is predefined. Then you start to become bored.
Yeah.
So there is no, you man has to be ready to become a woman, and woman should be ready to become a man. And then no one has a problem with changing roles.
Right.
Not getting stuck with the idea that I am a man or I am a woman.
Okay. All right, all shy people, anybody else? Otherwise, we'll bring this to a conclusion.
Like making a chai also, no, tea. I enjoy very much in a day because I don't have a pre-structured idea of my tea. So a desire arises, there is a structure, kitchen, there is a gas, there is a this, I must do in a way, put the water. And then there is always open, a melody around it. So I'm playing with sometimes lemongrass, sometimes not decided. Sometimes anise, sometimes this, sometimes ginger, sometimes lemon, some. So this a kind of like a interplay. It's not a structured phenomena. I go take this and this and this and this and that's it. So it's not a boring phenomena. It's every day. Each chai is opening to a new taste, new aroma, new excitement, a new experiment in that way.
So you're telling us once we become a child again, we will be okay, essentially.
Not child. Yes, child is an ignorant person. He is in joy, but there is a ignorance into a child. So child is in the moment. Energy is functioning. Prana is functioning well. Energy is functioning, and he's just enjoying the moment. But he is ignorant about. His joy is in ignorance. We cannot be ignorant again. We are knowledgeable. We are knowledgeable. So what we learn from the child is what we learn from the child to breathe like a child, to be in the moment like a child, to have this bubbling energy inside us. So we can only learn from the child. We cannot copy that. So we have a two words. Word we call childish, another we have childlike.
Right.
So if as a grown up, if I behave like a child, you will call me the childish. But as a grown up, if I bring the principles of why and how child is in a burst of energy, I will be a childlike. So there is a knowledge, maturity, and the principles of the energy of the presence of the child. So that is a childlike. So we cannot become, if we start to behave like a children, it is unacceptable. We will be childish. We should be childlike, not childish.